Advisors, chaperones, and delegates, welcome to Pacific Model United Nations 2021. My name is Isabella Wang, and I've had the absolute honor of serving as the Director General for this conference. When I first began my MUN journey as a freshman in high school, I vividly remember attending PAC-MUN as a first-time delegate. I remember everything from the new friends I made to the encouraging words my staffers told me every time I stumbled on ROP. But what really stuck out to me that first conference, and what I remember saying was, wow, I can't believe this conference is put on by high schoolers. At the time, it felt like the high school secretariat had magical powers to put on such a large-scale conference with precision and care. 3 years later, I know what really makes this conference great, and it's not magic. As seemingly magical as the Secretariat team may be, it's really their drive, their true passion for MUN and community building that makes this conference so special. Despite the obstacles thrown their way, they've managed to collaborate with one another to find innovative solutions to hold this conference and make it as enjoyable as possible for all of you. They inspire me to work harder and think bigger every single day. So now I'd like to introduce the most hardworking and diligent external team. First, our wonderful Undersecretary General of Delegate Affairs, Nicole Yang. She has single-handedly navigated registration as well as coordinated outreach and worked hard to reply to all of your emails. She is one of the most driven people I've ever had the good fortune of working with, and this conference would certainly not be possible without her. Secondly, our Undersecretary General of Finance, Henry Rogers. Between crafting spreadsheets and balancing our budget, Henry always puts 1,000% into what he is working on. So while we'll always have our disagreements and folder preferences, I can still always count on him to go above and beyond. And lastly, our Undersecretary General of Conference, Harshita Rabala. She has poured countless hours into organizing our annual College and Opportunity Showcase, working to expand the program to better prepare attendees for college and beyond. Between her insights in designing the schedule and her signature Purple Heart Reacts, Harshita has been an absolute pleasure to work with. These are just a few of the incredible people that built this conference to what it is. Now, I'd like to pass it on to Harshita, the Undersecretary General of Conference, to introduce our keynote speaker.
Hello, my name is Harshita Raybala, and it has been my honor to serve as your USG of Conference. I would now like to introduce our wonderful keynote speaker for PAC-MUN 2021, Ashley Elliott. She's the founder of numerous projects advocating for equality, such as her strategic inclusion consultancy and her organizational transformation of Lean in Seattle, a 10,000-person organization focused on advancing gender equity and worked on many other projects. Ms. Elliott is directly involved in the innovation towards achieving the United Nations Sustainable Goals and delivering human rights. I'm now excited to welcome Ms. Elliott. She has also offered to do a Q&A from questions we collected from our social media. With that, it is my absolute honor to hand it over to Ms. Elliott.
Good morning, everyone. It is such an honor for me to be here with you today. I'd like to say thank you so much for the members of the Secretariat, Secretary General, and all of the individuals and student leaders who've come together to put this event on for each of you today. And thank you all the delegates for taking the time and putting the effort in to become a delegate for the Model United Nations. It is such an incredible opportunity for each of you to dive right in this weekend during this conference and learn as much as you can about the United Nations, how it works, how people keep order throughout the different meetings, the different priorities for each of the different subcommittees, and to learn more about yourself and the type of leader that you could be if you want to make your life in service of humanity, if you are interested in creating a career in international relations, international human rights law, if you have a strong passion for public speaking, negotiation, whatever it might be that has brought you to be a delegate today. I am so thrilled that each of you will have the opportunity to represent one of the countries today from around the world and to learn a little bit more about the people and the places and the cultures and some of the very complex problems that happen throughout the global community. Something I want to say to all of you, because I know that you're all joining us virtually, and I think that there might be a couple of people who are huddled together putting into the post-production for this video and others. One of the best parts about engaging in events like this, where you come together with leaders from around the world, is those opportunities to catch someone, to say, hey, I'm really interested in what you said, to bounce ideas off of each other in the hallways. Usually when we're traveling together throughout the world, you'll bump into different delegates in the airport, on flights. I've met some of the most incredible people before the conference, and then we already had a little bit of a relationship. So I would say that seeing that we're all joining virtually today, that the most important thing to get out of this conference, sure, you're going to get some really incredible things to kind of get your brain started thinking about global leadership. And sure, you're going to really get into those debates, dialogues, and discourse in each of the committee meetings. But the most important part of this and any other United Nations session is the relationships that you build. Almost 23% of your 1.8 billion peers are feeling a sense of anxiety about whether or not they're going to have a future. Is the planet just going to continue to be on fire or erupting or flooding? What's really happening here? And can we really make a difference? All right, I really like lists, and the United Nations has set forth 5 Ps that they have for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Sometime this weekend, figure out what those 5 Ps are. But I have 5 Ps, which are tips for youth like yourselves who are serving as delegates this weekend, who are interested in advancing their careers or their futures with the United Nations systems, especially if you get a really great experience this weekend. Here are the 5 Ps: purpose, participation, practice, partnership, and peace. Purpose. There are some crazy headlines out there right now. How do you work in the field of human rights advances and peacekeeping if you're hearing that there has been another coup, or if there has been a different type of terrorist attack? How do you do this work? And how do you make a lifelong journey out of it? There has been research that has been delivered recently that says people who have a strong sense of purpose have a stronger level of resilience and can handle more and more and more stresses and challenges throughout their day, their week, their years of service to humanity. And so for those of you who have a really strong interest, whether it is in gender equality, climate change, peace, and human security, whatever your issue that is really important to you, whether it is, I saw some people who have a really strong interest in advancing LGBTQIA rights, people who are strongly interested in advancing the rights of persons with disabilities, as well as those from Indigenous, Aboriginal, and First Nations countries. Whatever it is that deep inside yourself you have as a passion and a purpose that you would want to work every day towards, that is a superpower. So if you have access to a sense of purpose, you will be able to do this work year after year. When you have some of the best and worst news of your life, sometimes that happens on the same day, you'll be able to get through it and keep going because you'll be able to have that stamina to make a career out of service to humanity. Participation. Have you heard of the United Nations Security Council resolutions 2250, 2419, or 2535? I hope so. And if you haven't yet, I want you to look them up. Each of these resolutions has a singular mission. Let youth of the world know that they want you to be agents of change. They want to hear your voices. They want to make sure that in all of the efforts to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and to advance progress, social progress throughout the world, that you are not only heard from in weekends in situations like this where you're at a model United Nations or a simulation of the United Nations, but that you actually get to be a participant and you get to be an agent of change. If you have not yet, search online and look for opportunities for young people like yourself to get engaged, to find out more ways that you can participate. I have worked with the United Nations Foundation, UNA of USA, for a long time, and I know that they're always looking for young people who are interested in advocacy, agency, making sure that their ideas are heard. So if you're interested, don't stop after this weekend. Continue building your skills, continue to participate. Practice. Pick something you would get up in the morning, even when you don't want to, and you would put in the hours to learn how to do public speaking on behalf of this issue. And you would push because you know the people on the other end of the work that you're doing are benefited by the efforts that you put in. Look, not everybody is born into public speaking. Not everyone is naturally an extrovert or comfortable standing in front of a room or a Zoom full of people. Practice, practice, practice. Doing this work is the most fulfilling and meaningful career that there is. You will meet people from around the world. You will have opportunities. Doors will open for you when you commit your life to doing this type of work. When it comes to practicing, the first time I did a speech in front of other people, I forgot what I was going to say, and I just stood there for 3 minutes with a spotlight on me, and I just stood there for a couple minutes until I could remember what I was going to say. If you practice, if you have any sort of bloopers in your journey towards working in the United Nations system, as you work in advocacy, this weekend, if you go to say something, maybe you say something super awkward, it happens. You are meeting with other people who are also along their own journey, and there's a lot of opportunity for practice. Reach out to other people who maybe you meet in your different committees, subcommittees, people who you get to meet in some of the networking opportunities. Find ways to build your skills with them over the years, run your speeches past them, and practice, practice, practice. And worst case scenario, you have a Zoom blooper. Everything will be okay. Just keep practicing. Everyone is in the process of learning throughout this conference and as you continue to build your skills. Partnership. Pick something you can't achieve alone. One of the sayings that is always shared when I go into meetings in the African region is, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go together. One of the biggest things that you need to think about as you start your journey is that the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, all 17 of them, it encompasses everything. Look for different partners in the community, because only 5% of the United States population even has heard of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. But there are a lot of people who work towards these same goals, whether it is healthcare, if you have an interest in gender equality, people who are working for refugee assistance, immigration rights, whatever the issue that you have a strong interest in, there are partners in your community who do not know that the work that they are doing advances the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And so you have a real opportunity to not only build partnerships, but to bring the whole partnership and ecosystem of the United Nations system to communities and to bring resources to them, because there's lots of different grants, investing opportunities for people who are working towards these Sustainable Development Goals. Partnerships is the way to do this work. And it is incredible. Just a story from my experience. I have built out a peace coalition and have had more than 5,000 partners throughout the world, 210 countries. And those partnerships took me from training one-on-one and in group settings, maybe 10,000 people, to reaching 2.5 billion people. And that was through the power of partnerships. So partnerships, 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 they're everywhere. They're waiting for you to reach out to them. People really love to be invited to these types of conversations. So even if you're a little bit nervous about reaching out and asking someone if they want to partner with you, practice and go for it. The most important part of us having a future, and the most important component of really reaching the 2030 agenda and making sure that the actions that we have leave no one behind and that we do no harm, is peace. As young people, I'm sure that many of you have heard a lot of the different things that have been going on in the world, a lot of the things that can cause a lot of angst and anxiety, whether or not you feel safe going out into the street, with all the different experiences of discrimination that people have, whether it's hate crimes, whether it is discrimination in forms of policies, whether or not you would even feel safe as a delegate of the United Nations traveling throughout the world. P number 5 is peace. And this is my purpose. The entire world right now is in an inclusion revolution where people are very interested in how to create a world without discrimination, where people have equitable access to resources. When you whittle diversity, equity, and inclusion and world peace down to its most basic elements, everything is based on the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights. Everything, when it comes to peace, is accepting that the other person has an equal sense of worth, dignity, and rights as you, that no matter how we experience the world, we have a responsibility to uphold the rights of other people. It's called duty of care. And to make sure that if you are hosting an event like this, whether or not you're an employer or a school system, they have a responsibility to keep you safe. And this is something I want to leave you all with. For the last 5 years, I have built out a global peace coalition. And in order to be part of the global peace coalition, you have to commit to accepting the rights of other people. And it has been the most extraordinary experience of my life to see people from all around the world, people who have been at war with each other for generations, people who are actually not allowed to talk to each other if they were to be in the same room or in the same city, people who have very strongly held beliefs about whether or not someone should have human rights, whether or not they should have legal rights and access to resources, access to jobs and education. So I encourage you to really kind of dive in, to check out the resources and figure out, what are our rights? There's all 30 articles of the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights, which was set 76 years ago. Which of them are a reality today and which of them really need to move forward? And we have a lot of work to do in that space. And so for anyone who is interested in making the world a safer place, I would like for all of you to consider participating and practicing building peace with me. I'll leave some information with the Secretary General and the members of the Secretariat on how to get in touch. And I want you to remember these 5 Ps going forward as you create a career in human rights and you navigate the incredible and dynamic world of the United Nations system.
Hello, everyone. My name is Harshita, and I'm the USG of Conference, and I'm here today with Mrs. Elliott, and we're going to do a quick Q&A session with the questions you guys gave us on our Instagram. So let's get started. Our first question, Ms. Elliott, what is your biggest advice to youth who want to pursue their passion for Model United Nations as a career?
The United Nations has a whole ecosystem of partners, and the most important thing to figure out as you're exploring this Model United Nations experience, and also as you think about the type of person that you are, is how quickly or how slowly you want to see change on an issue. In some terms of policies and bylaws and how to get things done by consensus and negotiation, if you want to take those those different steps along the way to get something done, then the United Nations itself might be a really great career opportunity for you. But if you're thinking that you have an issue that you're super passionate about, like climate change, and you want to start running right now and you want to get stuff done, it might be better for you to work with one of the different partners throughout the ecosystem, or to work with one of the different innovation hubs. And that might be a different path for you. So just really figuring out how fast or slow you want to go. And if you're really interested in bylaws and like details, like if you're a really detail oriented person, or if you're a big picture person, and just finding the right fit for your personality and your skills.
Hello, everyone. My name is Harshita, and I'm the USG of Conference, and I'm here today with Mrs. Elliott, and we're going to do a quick Q&A session with the questions you guys gave us on our Instagram. So let's get started. Moving on to our next question. I know you worked a lot with the UN Sustainability Goals, so one of our delegates was wondering, what do you think the most important UN Sustainability Goal is?
This is a trick question because there's 2 answers. The first answer is SDG 5. Integrated into all of the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as their targets and indicators, is gender equity. None of sustainability can happen without really, really, really accelerating the pace of change for gender equality, which is currently going in reverse. And so about 240 years going backwards from where we have been the last few decades. That undermines every single element of the SDGs. But sustainability cannot happen. Advancing each of the different SDGs cannot happen without SDG 16, which is peace, justice, and transparent institutions. Everything that we have to do has to build on top of SDG 16. And each time you meet a different SDG, you're also achieving SDG 5.
Hello, everyone. My name is Harshita, and I'm the USG of Conference, and I'm here today with Mrs. Elliott, and we're going to do a quick Q&A session with the questions you guys gave us on our Instagram. So let's get started. So our next question is, I know you worked on so many different projects, but what would you say is your favorite one, and how did you become involved in it?
My favorite thing that I have ever done, and I have been working on it for 10 years, just officially with the Sustainable Development Goals, and before that, the Millennium Development Goals, has been advancing inclusion, which is SDG 10, reducing inequalities, in addition to SDG 16. And it came about because someone told me that they didn't believe that I, as a member of the queer identified community, deserved equal rights. Then they said that I was not being bullied when they told me that I didn't deserve equal rights, and when they told me that I couldn't join committees or that I couldn't be in a leadership position. And that really, really made me angry. I was like, okay, well, it definitely hurts me that you're saying that I can't do these things, and also that you're discriminating against me, but then you're saying it's not bullying, because I was working a lot in the anti-bullying field. And so, you know what I did? I ended up doing more research, and they were right. And what spurned my whole career in peace started off anti-bullying, because they weren't bullying me, they were committing structural violence and cultural violence against me. I was able to learn that, which opened up the whole world to me, and it has turned into how I train people how to build peace, is really talking to those folks who say everyone has equal human rights and equal dignity, and anything that strays from that, we need to talk about, because it's an inequity and exclusion. So my favorite by far has been working towards peace. And also because I know there's so many young people in your committees today. There are young people in every city around the world who are just as interested in Model United Nations as you are. And you're all working towards the same thing. So if anytime someone says no to you, do it anyway.
Thank you so much, Ms. Elliott. Delegates, Ms. Elliott will be dropping in throughout the conference, so don't hesitate to reach out to her with any questions or for some guidance. Now, we're proud to announce that we will be hosting our annual College and Opportunity Showcase. On day 2 of PAC-Mon, which is Sunday, there will be a live virtual college presentations from Rice University at 12:30 p.m. and DePauw University at 1:15 p.m. during lunch. In order to attend the live sessions, delegates are required to fill out a registration form that was sent to them through email and have it done by the end of the day today. Zoom links will only be distributed to delegates who register by the deadline. Additionally, delegates will be able to find a wide selection of leadership opportunities from youth-led initiatives to virtual college showcases on our website. The information will be posted on our website during the College and Opportunity Showcase on day 2. Thank you so much. I will now be handing it over to Henry, our USG of Finance.
Thank you, Arshita, and thank you to our wonderful keynote speaker. I'm Henry Rogers, your USG of Finance for this year's PAC-Mon. It has been surreal to watch the conference we spent so long planning and anticipating finally come to fruition. And I cannot thank all of you enough for helping to make this happen. We cannot be more excited this year to be able to return to offering candygrams for delegates in person. After your committee's second session and continuing into the last session of the conference, we'll be selling candygrams where you registered for $2 each. Virtual delegates can also buy candygram messages for $1. Details will come to your delegate Slack shortly. PAC-Mon, however, is not just about committees and candygrams. And for every year of this conference existence, we've had the honor of working with community sponsors to create the best event possible for all of you. This year is no different. Support from the Bainbridge Community Foundation and the Henry M. Jackson Foundation has helped continue to make PAC-Mon possible. And without their help, we could not offer thousands of dollars in financial aid to delegates every year. Thank you again to everyone for helping make PAC-Mon a success this year. I'll now hand it over to our wonderful USG of Delegate Affairs, Nicole Yang.
A good portion of you all may have emailed me or messaged me, but it is so exciting to finally put names to faces. My name is Nicole Yang, and I have had the utmost honor of serving as your USG of Delegate Affairs for my last conference in my high school MUN career. I have loved speaking with each and every one of you to answer your questions to ensure that you will have the best next 2 days. However, there are a few logistical things that we do have to get through. Firstly, we hope check-in went smoothly for you all today. You will need to check in again tomorrow morning going through the same process, and please check the schedule online for the specific times. Advisors, please look out for an email from us regarding delegation photos. You will have a specific time slot, and you will need to coordinate with your delegates. Photographers will also come around to take committee photos during debate. We are so happy to see you all in person again. However, we are still enforcing strict COVID guidelines to maintain the safest possible conference. Masks must stay over your mouth and nose whenever you're in a public space in the venue, and social distancing will be put in place whenever possible. Short water breaks are fine, however, eating is prohibited in committee rooms. Lastly, to all of the delegates, whether this is your first or last conference, make sure to participate, raise your hand, step out of your comfort zones, and meet a new friend. PAC-Mon 2019 was when my eyes were first truly opened to MUN, and I will never forget the feeling of accomplishment when I passed my first ever resolution paper. I hope you all will feel the same type of joy today, feel inspired, and apply for a position in the future. As always, please find me or email me if you all have any questions or comments at all. That being said, I will be passing it over to our amazing Executive Conference Director, Kelsey Brayford.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Brayford, and I'm the Pacman Executive Conference Director. I'm very excited for this weekend, and I'm here to remind you that as we enjoy one of our first in-person conferences in a while, please maintain a high level of respect for our facility and hotel staff, and please continue to adhere to health and safety guidelines. Advisors, if you find yourself in need of assistance at any point this weekend, please do not hesitate to contact me. My phone number is included in previous email communications. However, if you still need it, please stop by Greenwood on the 3rd floor. Please note, in the event of an emergency, please use a hotel phone to dial 3333. That's 4 3s, in addition to calling 911 to expedite response times. I hope you all have a great weekend, and now I'd like to introduce our co-chiefs of staff, Maya and Kellen. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. This is Kellen Horde.
And this is Maya Nair.
And we're the co-chiefs of staff for Pacman 2021.
We're delighted to finally join you all in person. And if you're joining us virtually, we're equally excited to have you join us from wherever you are in the world for this weekend.
You may notice that there are 2 of us up here instead of the usual 1. But that's great because we finished each other's.
Our USGs have never ceased to amaze us with their persistence, work ethic, and endless creativity.
They have led 16 dynamic committees staffed by inventive and knowledgeable staff members who have worked tirelessly for the past 7 months to produce an amazing committee experience for all delegates.
Now introducing the Undersecretary Generals and their committees. First, we have our Undersecretary General of Principal Bodies, Mina Nair, who oversees the World Health Organization, the United Nations Human Rights Council, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, and the United Nations Security Council.
Next is our Undersecretary General of Economic and Social Councils, Marjan Fathi, who oversees the European Union, African Union, La Comunidad de Estados Latinoamericanos y Caribeños, and the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues.
Then we have our Undersecretary General of Specialized Committees, Ivan Maykov, who oversees the United States Senate, Joint Crisis Committee, International Court of Justice, and the International Press Corps.
Last but not least is our Undersecretary General of Virtual Committees, Caleb Dempster, who oversees the Disarmament and International Security Committee, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Pacific Islands Forum, and Cabinet.
We can't wait to see your compelling,
educational,
confusing,
enjoyable,
thought-provoking,
mind-numbing,
and enlightening speeches, and hope you have an excellent conference.
And now we are honored to introduce our wonderful Secretary General, Natalie Sarabosing.
Hi, everyone. I can't believe that we're all here. Welcome to Pacific Model United Nations 2021. I'm Natalie Sarabosing, and I am so honored to be serving as your Secretary General for this year's conference. The sheer fact that you're even here just serves as a testament that the spirit of Model UN has endured through a pandemic, a virtual year, and every other change that the world keeps pushing our way. And I think it's that same spirit that keeps people in this community and that keeps us moving forward. When I attended my first Pacman in 2018, I remember being absolutely flabbergasted by the amount of can-do attitude I saw in every single delegate in my committee room. Every single person had researched the issue at hand, saw the reality of it, and then walked in ready to find a solution. And this morning, I just felt that energy again. Mixed in with nervousness and anticipation was an excitement to get started, hit the ground running, and learn. This weekend, you will give your first speech in committee and then your last. You'll laugh over the camaraderie of candygrams. You'll find yourself motioning for moderated caucuses, bonding over blocks, and cheering after resolutions are passed. And you'll learn about the world beyond our borders as you teach each other and help each other grow as speakers and leaders. I hope that you leave Pacman with the undeniable feeling that as we take our places in the world, we are going to change it for the better. We already are. I hope you also find time to experience the magic of the Model UN community. Whether you make friends at Pac-1 or reconnect with old ones, you'll find some of the most passionate, supportive people you may ever meet. As I've worked on this conference for the past 11 months, I know that I have. I wouldn't be here without our incredible staff team working long hours to write background guides and prepared to guide you all through debate. I also wouldn't be here without the unbelievably competent Secretariat beside me. I have them all to thank for getting Pacman off of the ground, but I have you to thank for making this happen. It is by your dedication that we are still at conference after all of these years, and I couldn't be more grateful or excited to see the amazing things you do this weekend. Thank you for sticking with us, and if this is your first Pacman, thank you for trying out something new and keeping this alive. The spirit of Model UN endures. This weekend, give yourself the space to make mistakes.
Be brave, embrace challenges, focus on multilateralism and compromise, and let your passion and conviction show through every speech you give. And with that, are there any points or motions on the floor at this time?
Motion to open PACMON 2021.
That is in order. All other points or motions will be ruled dilatory at this time. All those in favor of opening PACMON 2021, raise your placards now. Well, it's unanimous. Welcome to PACMON 2021.